Welcome to Footnotes.
Da-da-da-da.
Wait, is that the? I thought you were for a second. I thought you were going to do the Jaws theme song, which I like the fact that they completely. Did they forgo that in this particular?
If they did any of it, it
I
was
don't-
just at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then never again.
Yeah, because in Jaws 2 they made like a. They had like an actual composer come in and make like a music for the film. So it had like its own soundtrack. I mean, it's not as memorable as Hans Zimmer did the original, or am I thinking of something else he did for Steven Spielberg? It's not as memorable, of course, as the
Right. I mean, that can
but it has some personality to it. Go ahead.
it can be used in so many situations, which is why it's so memorable in modern and
The Jaws theme.
culture.
Well, I think it's memorable because it's one of those things where, like, it's like Here's Johnny, right? Like, when it first came out, it was terrifying, and now it's a meme.
It's a meme.
Well, it's like a cultural meme, right? Like, it's like, you watch a kid's a kid's cartoon, and they'll have, like, a parody of the Jaws theme play while a man sneaks up on another guy.
It isn't a meme with a physical form. It's more of a meme spirit.
Yeah, it's a meme before a meme. It's become so part of our culture that you can't really. I mean, you can take it seriously if you're watching the film, but in other contexts, you're probably like laughing at it, basically, because it's so culturally significant. It's completely homogenized. Everybody knows it.
So, this is a post-internet movie that we're going to make.
Jaws 3D.
Yeah.
Or Jaws 3. I have some information about Jaws 3. It is the sequel to Jaws 2, The Lost World.
Right.
That's a lie. The Jaws 2, Jaws the second, as I prefer to call it.
Jaws Jr., as I prefer.
Yeah, the movie where a new shark comes back, runs into a speedboat, burns his face, and becomes a scarred shark.
He takes down a helicopter.
He takes down multiple boats, although those boats were incredibly flimsy. I think a stiff breeze would take down those boats. And then he takes down a helicopter, and, to be fair, the helicopter was about smaller than some of those boats, so, that's the other thing. Like, the guy who shows up in the helicopter, what the hell's he gonna do? I mean, go and get more boats, yeah, but, like he can't fly them back.
Get more boats?
He can't fly them back. Like, I like that moment when the shark just tips its head up out of the water and grabs like, it knows what a helicopter is.
Right. Jaws Jr., you lived up to your father.
Okay, so Jaws 3D, here's the synopsis on IMDb. The sons of Police Chief Brody must protect customers at SeaWorld theme park after a 35-foot shark becomes trapped in the park with them. And that description that they give is actually like it's a spoiler, actually. I mean, if to anyone listening, we're going to spoil the film Jaws 3D, but really, do you care? First of all, the movie came out in 1983.
Right.
Which, actually, when we were watching it, I was like, oh yeah, this came out at some point in the 90s. No, 1983. It was written by Richard Matheson. Of course, with Peter Benchley involved, the original writer of the book Les Jaws, and Carl Gottlieb. And it stars Dennis Quaid, of course, as Mike Brody, same actor as before. Bess Armstrong, Simon McConnell, Louis Gossett. I can't see these people's full names, and nobody who you would know, nobody who I remember knowing. It was directed by Joe Alves. Oh, and it had Leah Thompson. Again, none of these people I know. It's the second sequel to Steven Spielberg's Jaws, and the third installment in the Jaws franchise, in case the name Jaws 3D didn't tip you off.
I mean, it might just be the first Jaws in 3D.
I like the cycles that people must have gone through with 3D. Like, they first developed it in the 1950s, right, with those stupid-looking glasses.
Right.
And then, like, at some point in the 1980s, someone was like, well, let's make the Jaws sequel, but with 3D, right? And then, like, people were like, no, 3D is stupid. And then 20 years later, they're like, IMAX, 3D theater, 3D, try 4D, 3D at the astronomy lab. It's ridiculous. And now nobody cares.
Instead of looking
nobody cares anymore.
Instead of looking like a blind person, look like an actual blind person.
Instead of looking like a blind person from Willy the Wonka, the chocolate factory, look like an actual blind person. You think in 20 years, or I guess it's actually, I guess it was big like in around 2010. So you think in like 2030, people are going to be like 3D, it's coming back, or
and then we're going to look like people who aren't blind.
Pay more ridiculous prices for things you don't need.
Prices are going to be a lot higher in the future.
That is how inflation works.
Right.
Okay, so it's got a 3.6 on IMDb. It has a 27%, I think. It has actually it has a 10% on the critics and a 17% on the audience. It actually has, I think it has a 27% Metascore on Metacritic and a 3.7 user score. Let me just play you the trailer here for a moment.
Oh, it's an amazing trailer.
It's actually got an ad, which
okay. While we're
waiting for the ad to finish, let me just give you some trivia about Jaws 3. Jaws 3 is a terrible film. There we go. Not true.
Terrified you like nothing you have ever experienced. When it captured your imagination.
Unlike the last few times.
And tapped your fear like no movie before it.
This trailer. I'm not sure if that. I think you're lying, Mr. Narrator.
The legend and spread the fear. Next summer.
Spread the fear, huh?
Nature's most terrifying creature.
I'm not sure if that's true either.
I think the most terrifying creature is American corporations.
I think the most terrifying creature is man for leaving that gate unlocked and letting the shark get loose in their SeaWorld enclosure.
He would have broken through anyway with his laser vision.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was 30 feet. Right, he busted through like what had to be like a foot thick glass, right? That or she actually, it's a female shark, as it turns out. But honestly, if you care about spoilers for Jaws 3D, first of all, it came out in 1983. Second of all, it's a terrible film.
Also, it can change size. You have to remember that it can instantly grow
or shrink,
as
is required. It actually has Mr. Fantastic powers where it can stretch. It can make its head like stretch out on a giant neck. It's not
like a super Skrull.
Yeah, kind of. Yes, exactly. It's like a super Skrull. It can turn invisible. It can create energy shields to protect itself.
It can predict the future.
It's amazing. This shark is amazing. I like how in Jaws 2, it's like, it's not how a real shark would act, but there's some level of this could theoretically happen in some kind of freak accident, right? In Jaws 2, they end up killing the shark when it bites down. He like makes a weird noise on the electric line, and it bites down, and it fries, and it dies that way.
Right.
In Jaws,
it catches fire.
Yeah, and then it catches fire.
One weakness, fire.
It catches fire and melts because it's obviously a statue made of plaster. And then in Jaws 3, they just forgo any kind of realism. They're like, it's a 35-foot long shark, and it's super intelligent.
We're going to put an underwater grenade in its stomach. That's a thing we have.
Yeah, they keep blowing the sharks up. Does nobody have like a gun in this world? Can nobody just be like, bang, bang, now the shark is dead?
He tried that the first couple times. He's just too sneaky.
I understand you can't fire underwater, but wouldn't you have harpoon guns in a place like that, in this SeaWorld resort?
I mean, the corporation has everything. They just don't give it to the people because they don't trust them.
Right. They're holding back on us. It's a conspiracy. And so, what are the problems with Jaws 3 besides the
things we listed?
The things we've already listed. Number one, the characters are unlikable and ill-defined. So we have the Brody brothers.
Right, yeah. They're supposed to be the sons of the original main protagonist.
And Dennis Quaid played Brody's son in the other two movies. So
the consequence
they are the same actors.
Of them having met the previous shark is never mentioned.
Hey, you know that one point in Jaws 2 where Brody is like, hey son, are you gonna go take this job or what? I wanna know, did he ever take that job? They don't mention it in Jaws 3, but I want some resolution to that plot line. What is the point of them being Brody's sons? Like, one of them has aquaphobia.
Right. Because of the shark.
Right, because of the shark.
Because the shark can actually drive people insane and manipulate their worst fears. That's another superpower they have.
No, I think it's just that everyone in this film is stupid.
It could be that.
They act irrationally, and that's how the shark exists.
Maybe the shark is actually relatively quite weak, and everyone's just lulled into a sort of ape-like state. So they do the most primal thing that they could think of.
Well, as the narrator said, the sharks are millions of years old.
They are. They're older than trees.
They've been. I don't know if that's true. So Brody's sons show up, but they don't have very much personality, and they never even mention they don't mention the shark thing. Like, he's afraid of the water, yeah. And then we get that great scene where he's running around, punching women, knocking over children, and yelling, "Get out of the water! Get out of the water!" Which is very reminiscent of the panic scene in Jaws 1.
And Jaws 2. Don't forget Jaws 2.
And the panic scene in Jaws 2. We're just running through the motions here. Like, they've moved. They're no longer in the town of Amity Bay.
Right. Amity Island.
They're no longer near Amity Island. We're down in Florida. We're at this big water park. We got all these new characters, but everybody still reacts about the same way.
I assume Jaws the Third is there to kill the Brody brothers.
Yeah, you would assume. Well, because in Jaws 4, and we're trying to make a plot line where none exists. In Jaws 4, Mrs. Brody is haunted by the ghost of the shark that drove her husband to die of a heart attack. Brody is still alive in this film, isn't he? Do they ever mention?
No, they never mention it.
Well, they mention him, but I don't think they say whether or not he's dead.
But the conversation in which they mentioned him was not centered around him.
Yeah, he's just a passing thought. Which, again, it makes you question, why are they his sons? If it's slightly relevant, but him being aquaphobic doesn't even, it's not like, maybe this gets him over his aquaphobia, but that's not a theme we explore. It's not like we get, shots of the water looking really threatening from his perspective, and then later in the film, at the end of the film, he's having sex with his girlfriend in the beach, because apparently that's what people do down in Florida. I don't know. People must be pretty bored, but I guess
girls are really attracted
to the water. They're reverse,
helping people overcome their phobias.
Yes, well that is true. It's a very, I don't know if I want to say cliche, but I feel like, yes, I've seen that before, where it's like, come on, just come in the water, you'll feel better, right? And then the shark pops out, of course. Uh-huh. It's a classic Eve symbolism. The girlfriend, is trying to get him to overcome his aquaphobia. But I guess this is also the brother who was out on the lake. or the lake, the ocean, right? Wait, both of them were out on the boat in Jaws 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they were out in Jaws. So not only did a shark attack happen in their town, they were part of a shark attack. They were on that whole thing when the shark was going in circles around them and smashing through their boats trying to eat them. Why does only one of them have hydrophobia or aquaphobia?
One of them is smarter than the other.
Is he the one with aquaphobia, or is he the one who doesn't have aquaphobia? Is there a word for shark phobia? That has to be something that exists in the advent of, in the wake of Steven Spielberg's Jaws, people being afraid of sharks.
Well, yeah.
Get out of the water! Get out of the water! All right, so the characters are unlikable and ill-defined. They're pretty boring. We get a little. There's a guy here, and he's shooting this. He wants to shoot a film of him like wrestling with the shark or whatever before he retires, and because he's a thrill seeker, and he flirts with the girl who is the girlfriend of, I think, Dennis Quaid's character, and that's about it. And the girl is like, this is a great opportunity for us to learn about sharks and do all this stuff. And then the manager, I guess he's got kind of a personality. He's like this fast talking, sleazy park owner, right? But again, we don't get any like real character building moments except for that one weird crack he makes about segregation. He's black, by the way. He's not racist, but he's making a joke about it in the company of some white guys, I guess, to make them feel uncomfortable.
Black people do that a lot.
Well, I mean, this guy has power, so presumably he can get away with it. But
nowadays you can't really make fun of those kinds of things unless you're superpowered in corporations.
Well, I mean, if anyone has the right to make fun of those types of things, you would think it would be him, right?
Because he's black.
Yeah. Presumably. I don't know what that it appears there, and I guess it's social commentary or something, because it doesn't really have anything to do with the plot. Many of the crucial plot points happen because greed or stupidity. We've already gone over that. The special effects are not very good, and we see the shark a lot. So first we see the smaller shark, which turns out to be the baby of the bigger shark, which isn't it that the big shark came in and then gave birth to that shark?
On screen. That happened on screen.
No, but they say that later.
Yeah, they find out that they were related somehow.
Right, yeah.
Or they assumed, I suppose.
No, well, that's not, they figure that out at some point in the film. That's not how it works. Sharks don't give live birth like mammals do. They lay eggs like fish do. And then those eggs percolate and turn into itty bitty fishes, and then the fishes grow into sharks. A 35-foot shark doesn't just show up one day, give birth to a 10-foot long shark, and boom, bada boom, you've got yourself Jaws 3.
But this is no ordinary shark!
Are you going to be using that Australian accent for the rest of the podcast?
Would you like me to?
No.
Okay. Then I won't.
I love how transparent it is. The Australian guy turns to like the Scottish guy who's working with him, and he's like, come on, we can do it one last time. And then, they both die because we knew they were going to. Also, the scene where there's a scene where the Australian guy's in the mouth of the shark, and he's like inside of it, and it just like crushes him with its gums.
Right.
That's not how that would go down. Sharks have multiple rows of teeth in their mouths.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to snag you in the first row and then chew you up with just that row of teeth. It has a lot of rows of teeth.
Okay, but eventually
to chew you up with.
Eventually, you would get into this safe spot. Right?
No, because at that point you would just be in the back of its throat.
Okay, but if a shark were falling down from the sky,
also
and
that
you jumped into its mouth with chainsaw,
no,
would you be able to get out to it safely?
Well, no, because the velocity of the shark means it would be moving so quickly that if it hit you, assuming it's a large enough animal, it would just like smash in your ribs.
Yeah.
But I guess in that scene it doesn't hit him because he like saws it in half. So like the two sides go down. It's like Moses parting the Red Sea,
right?
Except it's a guy parting a shark using a chainsaw.
Much more divine.
Well, I mean, sharks have been around for millions of years.
Right.
Now, if it's 35 feet long, why is its mouth so small? How does it expect to eat him whole if he's like big enough to take up the inside of its mouth?
In multiple points, we see most of its body, and it is definitely not 35 feet long.
Well, there's also, they keep superimposing the shark. As you can see in this image, they keep superimposing the shark onto things, onto the background. And then they have the scene where the dolphins beat up the shark, which is just ridiculous. And then, and the dolphins have some kind of weird telepathy thing where they can sense the shark is in the pool, and they're running for it, right? And then they save the humans, and the Free Willy theme plays because this is a horror film. That's not the Free Willy theme. That's the Champions of Fire. That's not it. It's the fire. You know what I'm talking about. Chariots of Fire.
It's when Alex the lion and Marty meet for the first time in days.
Whatever you have to tell yourself so that you can sleep at night. So how are we going to fix this film? First question.
Oh, will it be animated?
Why?
Because I think it would be cool if it were animated. Then we would be able to.
Well, it would be a first time in history where you went from a live action film to an animated film. I mean, there was the Animatrix, but that's like a different thing. It's like separate content. It's not part of the Matrix trilogy.
What if we have it produced by Studio Ghibli?
Jacob, what you're pitching is no longer Jaws 3 or Jaws 3D, as it's sometimes referred to. It's no longer anything. It's
the 3 is
you're just like, what if Studio Ghibli made a film about sharks? And I mean, I guess that would be interesting.
I would watch it.
They make good stuff with animals, so the shark would probably look pretty cool. But I mean, presumably we wouldn't see it a lot. Just be a bunch of people. I don't know. Now you're just suggesting Jaws, but made by Studio Ghibli, and that's not what we want.
Okay.
We want new things, Jacob.
We want new things. Okay. First thing we open on.
Okay.
Not the shark killing a grouper.
Yeah. Just you got. Oh yeah, and then. Okay, Jacob. Do we get to see the grouper's head slowly turn as it rotates towards the screen? Because I guess a dead fish is scary now. I don't know. Richard Madison, Paul Gottlieb, you really messed this one up.
Oh, what we need to do is have it break down the gate in the first scene.
It just smashes down that gate.
Right.
Okay, I've got it, right? The whole thing takes place over the course of one day.
Okay.
One day at SeaWorld.
24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours, and we get a clock in the upper left screen, and they've got 24 hours to liberate this park from the shark. I like that part where the SWAT team shows up because these people are trapped underwater because everyone in this park is a freaking idiot. Yeah, okay. So it takes place over the course of a day at this SeaWorld-esque park, right?
Right.
Okay. So we're doing it at the park.
It isn't SeaWorld.
Yeah. It's like the movie equivalent of SeaWorld.
Okay.
We don't want to pay them royalties or use their stuff.
Because screw SeaWorld.
Yeah, screw SeaWorld. They were cruel to whales.
Also, other animals.
Well, sure, but mostly the whales, Jacob.
Mostly the whales.
I don't think they were abusing very many fish. I mean, I could be wrong, I guess. I haven't read enough about the subject, but
they inadvertently kill the great white shark
in this film.
No, in real life too.
In real life? Okay, so, well, wait, before or after the making of Jaws 3? D.
Probably before.
When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn?
It was so stupid. They're
like, this is a great opportunity for us. We can learn about sharks, right? And it's like, you don't put a shark in captivity because the water isn't good for it. It'll die. It happens every time. It's not a good idea. There's a reason no one has done this before. And then next thing you know, sure enough, it dies.
Remember the lake you have that allows sharks to swim in and out freely? Why don't you just do that?
wait, yeah, that reminds me. Wait, what the hell is the gate for? Well, because it's like so it's like there's like a lagoon, and they let the dolphins out into the lagoon, and then I guess they use the gate to keep the dolphins from swimming off.
Okay,
but what? But like, why?
It's
because as long as the gate, like, why not just shore up the lagoon and make it a separate thing? I mean, I guess you would have to refill the water, maybe, but like a bunch of if you have the gate, then like pollutants and stuff get inside, and bigger fish and jellyfish and stuff, and sharks, for instance. Sharks.
I mean, they wanted sharks to come in. They already had many sharks in the lagoon. They just weren't great white sharks.
Right. Well, because there's a point where the gate is open. Why would the gate ever be open? Why would you?
Well,
ever
the lock was broken. They couldn't fix the lock, the chain lock.
Right. It's a giant thing operated by two rotating things, right? But then like one tiny little padlock is holding it together. Each door
on the outside.
Yeah, on the outside, exactly. Each door is like huge. It's like each side of the gate is huge. One little padlock is holding it together. Hey, they're in Florida. What happens if a storm breaks the padlock? What happens if the lagoon floods during a hurricane?
Which might happen sometime in the future. We don't know, though. We don't know.
So it's going to take place at a SeaWorld-like place. It'll take place over the course of a day. Is brother Brody and smaller brother Brody going to be there?
Yes.
Why?
Because
I say why.
We want this to be a continuing story. This is the original. This is the initial motivation to kill.
Are we trying to? What do you mean the motivation to kill?
For Jaws the Third, he wants to take vengeance.
No, the shark doesn't have any motivation. In Jaws 1, the shark that we don't get a scene where the shark gazes longingly into a crystal ball and gives his backstory. That's not a thing that happens.
Yeah, originally, he had no reason to kill, but now it's just revenge. They're trying to take revenge on the family.
Revenge for what?
For killing their parent.
Their parent?
Right.
Which one?
The one before them.
The second shark?
The second shark is taking revenge on the first shark.
No.
He's avenging the first shark.
Yes, yeah.
On Brody.
And the third one is avenging the
second shark. Right.
What about the fourth one, Jacob?
He's avenging... No, he's a ghost of all of them.
That's okay. Yeah, all right. So I say we do not have the Brody brothers in this film. I say we just have some new characters. Because
what if we had the children of the Brody
brothers?
Look,
we're not. No, stop. Just stop.
And we don't want adventures.
We're not building the Jaws cinematic universe. The movies don't have to be tied together. We got a nice kind of conclusion to Brody's story in the previous film. We don't need this inane story about his sons. Or if we do, then they should be completely traumatized about sharks. And if they were, why would they be in SeaWorld? Who roped
They're
them
trying
into
to
visiting?
treat their phobia.
Together?
Yes.
At SeaWorld.
Yes.
Let me think about why that's not a good idea. Okay, if you want, there can be one. It can be one. One Brody brother is there with his wife and his kid.
Okay.
All right, they're visiting the park for the day, and a shark gets loose somehow.
Because, wait, is this Jaws the Third?
This is Stop referring to it that way. It's just a shark.
How about Josland?
Jacob, it's a shark. It doesn't have a name.
Josephine?
Ooh, this is going to be difficult.
Benjamin?
I'm going to need a lot more scotch to get to this one. Okay, so Brody is visiting the park with his wife and child. The wife wants him to get over his fear of the water so that he can teach. Are they going to have a little girl or a little boy? Or both? Twins, Dixie and Trixie.
Or a hermaphrodite.
No, Jacob. They're definitely not going to have that.
Why? Many people have hermaphrodite children. Are you oppressing the hermaphrodites?
No, but the child and surely the parents would be unaware of that kind of distinction, presumably when they're too young to swim yet.
Right. Okay.
Why can't you ever just give me a straight answer?
Girl.
Okay.
He's trying to join
daughter to swim.
He wants to teach her so she can grow up to join the anti-shark.
Jacob, stop. Just stop.
Because sharks are a serious threat in this universe.
The whole thing, stop it. The whole thing takes place over the course of one day. Yep.
It takes shark comes in.
So here's what I'm imagining, right? This park has like a special system of like tunnels between certain enclosures,
right,
so that fish and animals can move between the enclosures freely. Right. So this is like their big gimmick, right?
Okay.
They spent a bunch of money on this whole system.
But if all the tunnels open up at the same time...
Wait, what?
If all the tunnels open up at the same time...
But a shark gets in?
Then a shark can go through the entire park.
Yes, that's what I'm imagining. There's some kind of malfunction and a shark, okay. So I've got it, right? So, I got it, right? So here's what happens. Night before, some guys are hunting a shark. They, wound it, but it escapes. Next morning, shark is found by employees of park while scuba diving.
While trying to steal coral.
No. While scuba diving, they convinced the park owner to have them put the shark in a large tank, like temporarily, so that it can recover.
But it pretends to be dead, so later on he can walk on land with his new grown legs.
All right, you're just not going to be useful or helpful at all.
That's what he can do. That he can take the form of the things he eats.
Why does it have to be a he?
It doesn't. I'm just.
Also, why is it turning into like a Beast Boy shape-shifting style creature.
It's omnipotent. It can do whatever it wants.
Why is this turning into a remake of John Carpenter's The Thing?
I mean, it could be.
All right, so they put the so that you can temporarily recover. There's a malfunction, and the shark, or no, yeah. There's a malfunction, and the shark gets in one of the tunnels. This is already ridiculous. I'm feeling like maybe we should scrap this whole plot and start from the beginning, but I honestly don't have that much time left, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
You know what? It takes place in an office.
No.
Okay.
Stop.
And the
Stop.
Jaws sneaks into the office, and then a water spurts out of the fountain, and that allows it to travel throughout the entire building. Right?
Okay, all right, no, I've got it, all right? There's no shark, sorry, there's a shark.
There's a shark.
That would be kind of bold if I was like, there's no shark. Jaws is no longer about sharks, it's now about orcas. No, I've got it. Brody,
I mean, if Jaws...
So, Brody is Brody and his wife and daughter are staying with relatives in Florida.
Okay.
His sister-in-law and her husband. His sister-in-law and her husband invite them to go out on their yacht.
Because they're rich now.
Because no, they're not
because
rich.
They own SeaWorld.
They're not rich, but the sister-in-law and the husband are rich.
Okay.
The husband ribs Brody when he's reluctant to go out on the water. And he later has a conversation in bed, wink wink, with his wife where...
Because they do that. They just have normal conversations.
Voices her... Yeah, obviously. Because they're man and wife. He voices her concerns about him passing his fear onto their daughter. And about what the therapist said. Okay?
Ooh. Exposition without telling exactly what's happening.
Yeah, you've got it. All right, so then the rest of the film takes place on the yacht.
Right. Okay.
A shark shows up, right? They go into...
He continually damages the yacht.
Yeah. It's like a slow burn type stuff. So here's what happens, right? They're out on the yacht, right? They're out on the yacht. They go into an area they are not supposed to.
They're not supposed to.
Not supposed to.
Because it has Jaws in it.
Here's what I'm thinking, all right? One of two things happen. Either one, they run into like coral smugglers or something, right? And the coral smugglers commandeer the boat because they're running from the Coast Guard, right?
Right.
And
Look at me. I am the captain, though.
Yeah, you've got it. Yeah, that style thing. Right. They kill one of the people, and then they're like, we'll kill more if we have to, right? This is our boat now. We'll drop you off at some point, but, like, you guys have to do what we say, or otherwise you die, right? And then, like, at some point, the coral thieves realize that a shark is following the boat, right? So they, like, turn around the boat and try to ram the shark, but then the boat gets, like, crashes into, like, a rock or a sandbar or something and gets stuck. Right, and then like the tide is coming in, and the shark is getting closer. Yeah, you got it. It's just like circling around the boat. Or they're out on the yacht and they get caught in a tropical storm. And then the yacht gets stranded on like a sandbar or something, and then the shark closes in. All right, I'll go with the storm thing. Okay. All right, so if they go for too long and get caught in a storm. The boat ends up stranded in a swampy area where the tide is rising. One of them...
The tide is rising because of global warming.
The husband... Yeah. This is 1983, Jacob. The husband hit his head and is talking weird and all almost comatose the rest of the film.
Jaws actually gave him syphilis. He can also do that.
Brody tries to get the boat off the sandbar, but to no avail. While his wife tries to signal the Coast Guard.
Okay.
All right, and here's what I'm thinking. Right, we get like a fake out, right, where first we see right, and then it turns out it's not a shark, it's an alligator, right? And the alligator pops up out of the water and it almost eats Brody's daughter, right?
Right.
And then he punches the alligator in the snout and it rolls back into the water, right? And it just sort of slinks away into the water, and then bam, the shark comes out of the water with the alligator in its mouth, and it just ragdolls it, right? And there's blood everywhere, and they just watch as this shark chomps down on this alligator.
Right. That's really good. That's really nice. Okay, but the daughter, where is she?
She's with them. She went out on the yacht with them.
In the yacht.
Yeah.
And the alligator got...
No. She got off of the yacht after the yacht got moored on this sandbar, swamp, mangrove area.
Okay. Yeah, that all makes sense, dude. That's a really good idea.
Alligator fake out attack.
You thought it was going to be a different kind of Jaws.
Yes, for a second, you were fooled, right?
Right.
We got you twice, right? Because first there's the fake out where it's not a shark, right? And that's a pretty easy one where you're you didn't get me film. But then the alligator turns away and then bam, the shark grabs the alligator and then you're surprised, presumably.
Right. Unless you listen to this podcast. Or you're just intuitive, naturally.
In the universe where this film exists, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast, but sure. So I think we've got a great setup, right? It's all of them on the boat, right? The water's rising. They're trying to signal the Coast Guard. The shark keeps popping up and smashing into the side of the boat, right? How does it climax, right? They don't blow up the shark, I don't think.
Okay.
Not in this film. Not for this more slow burn that we're going for. Psychological torment. What?
So the Jaws starts hitting the rocks, which causes a tremor, and it shakes the stalactites to fall down on them. That aggravates the dad.
They're not in a cave.
So he goes down into the water, and he punches it.
They're not in a cave. What are you talking about?
You said they were in a mangrove.
A mangrove. Do you know what a mangrove swamp is? Do you know what mangroves are?
It doesn't have a ceiling?
No. It's a type of tree, and it has roots that can grow in the water because they're adjusted to both the salinity of the ocean and the fresh water. And it's a special type of plant.
It's called spackle.
No, Jacob, it's called brackish water, you poser. You're not even a real marine biologist. All right, so how does this climax, right? You had me for a second. I thought you were giving me a serious suggestion.
Okay.
Does the Coast Guard show up?
The Coast Guard. How would he show up?
In a boat.
What kind of boat?
Boat with an engine.
But how big is the boat?
Well, I don't know. I get smaller than the yacht, but bigger than a speedboat. one of those boats
Right.
that has like a roof and like a little an area
Right.
for you to do the thing in,
Right.
but it's not like it's not super big. It doesn't have like a deck.
Right.
It just has the cabin
Okay.
area.
Right.
So a guy from the Coast Guard shows up in that. And this can be it. So the storm is getting worse, right?
Right.
Right. The storm's getting worse. The boat is like half flooded. They're on like the roof, and the shark is like swimming around on top of the boat, like trying to reach them. Right. It's raining. It's pouring. The Coast Guard guy shows up. Right. He signals them with like a flare or something.
Right.
The boat approaches. And I guess what does the shark get scared off by the boat?
The tree collapses.
Wait, who said they were on a tree?
You said the mangrove.
Yeah, well, I said they were okay. All right, fine. So the storm trapped them in a tree.
On top of the tree.
On top of the tree, yeah.
Right, because the tide was rising. They had to get.
No, I've got a better idea. So the tide is rising, forcing them to climb a tree.
Okay.
The husband can't do it, and the wife gets bit trying to make him. The husband drowns.
That's a bit sudden. How does he? What?
Because it's flooding.
Because it's
not Brody, the other husband, the husband of the sister-in-law.
Okay.
We can come up with names for these characters. So, right, Brody and his wife are urging.
Let's call her wife
their daughter. Brody and his wife are urging their daughter up the tree. She slips and falls into the water.
Right.
And Brody dives after her.
And then it's sort of a race between him and the shark.
Yeah, and then it turns into Speed Racers, and we have the Wachowski siblings come in to direct. No, I mean, yes, kind of. He swims down, grabs her. The shark gets his foot. He punches the shark in the nose, in the eyes, and he stabs it in the gills with his knife.
Right. He says, "Avast, ye matey." No.
You just nod or on the top of your game right now.
No, I'm not.
So the shark presumably dies.
Okay. But then another shark comes.
No. The lifeguards show up.
Okay, but his last throw, it comes out, and it takes a bite of the boat. No, never mind. That's still.
I was thinking Brody. He loses like his foot basically.
Okay.
It like chewed it off basically when he grabbed him.
No, he died while his foot was in his mouth.
He can die after on like the deck of the boat.
The shark died with his foot in his mouth.
Well, no, it had already bit off his foot when he killed it.
Oh.
That's not how it's going to work. It's not going to be like he ripped his own foot out of its iron jaws, and that's not how physics work. It would just drag him down as it died. Unless he starts stabbing his foot. I mean, and I guess that could happen, but like...
It's also not
I'm
how
not sure.
physics works.
Oxygen tanks exploding as if they were bombs.
Electric cords lighting people on fire.
Not people, Jacob. Sharks.
Specifically sharks.
Look, sharks have a different fat content in their body. They're more prone to spontaneous shark combustion than humans. No,
very rare do you see a human having a spontaneous shark combustion.
That makes it sound like they exploded and sharks came out of them. Because we didn't replace. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. Which I think is like an asylum film waiting to happen. Spontaneous shark combustion. So does he die? Does Brody die of blood loss on the boat? Right, like clutching his wife and child. And
Yes.
succumbs.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
And
shark
then lightning
presumably dies.
strikes.
Lesson line shows, the storm has already subsided by this point.
Okay, it's a distant lightning strike.
Saves them. But Brody, despite their attempts, succumbs to blood loss.
Also physical
He
trauma.
holds his wife's hand. Yeah, and physical trauma. And physical trauma. He holds his wife's hand and kisses his daughter's cheek. And then I'm imagining, like,
I think
the
we
last.
should stop seeing the therapist.
And then I'm imagining, like, the last scene is, like, the daughter, the wife, in, like, an airport, right?
Right.
And I guess the airport is near the ocean.
Well, they need an airport, right? Airports are far more popular in the southeast. For some reason.
Yeah, no, well, yeah. I mean, well, the reason why is probably because of, like, business and stuff. I mean, there's not going to be a bunch of airports in Kansas
Okay.
because not a lot of people will be coming and going internationally.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, yeah, there could be an airport that, like, overlooks the water.
But that's a great place to build an airport, Kansas.
Or no, it doesn't even have to be that. It can be like, so they're in the airport. So last scene, they are in the airport, and Brody Senior is there, comforting the wife.
Okay.
The daughter looks into a fountain in the airport.
Okay.
And sees a shark-like monster under the water.
I thought we were going to get to the sentimental part, like
the sentimental
the star in the sky. You see your father in the reflection of the water.
Wait, that's not sentimental. That's Close Encounters of the Sixth. No, that's the Sixth Sense. That's some different shit. That's like his ghost is following her around.
No. Okay, so not that.
Or watching over her or something. I know. No, this was going to be.
No, a fish comes out of the fountain, and the dad is the fish.
I feel like my ending. I feel like this wraps us up, right? Because we began with the discussion about him passing his trauma to his daughter, and that's the one thing he doesn't want to do. He got his trauma from Brody Sr., right? Okay. And now, because of the shark attack and the hurricane, she's traumatized, right? She's probably gonna, and she sees the monster in the water, right? Okay. Like that's her phobia, and
that builds up for Jaws 4.
Right, and then Jaws 4 is about her and her son.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. She's a shark-like monster under the water. Brody
Can this
Senior
be animated, though?
Calls her, and she follows. And she looks at him, looks back at the water, and follows him and her mother. And the credits play. As we watch them walk off into the airport.
Yeah, you did all of that.
I did it.
But I was here to keep you running, to keep you thinking.
Well, I do need ideas to bounce off. I mean, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have realized how stupid the first idea was and shifted gears with such alacrity onto a better idea. So I appreciate that.
Okay, so let's list off this new shark's accomplishments.
He kills one person.
Okay.
Actually, he
damages a yacht.
He kills two people. He kills the wife of he kills the sister-in-law, right? And then he kills Brody Jr.
Okay.
The younger Brody.
Yeah.
I never looked up their names, and frankly, I don't care to right now. So yeah, I think we're good. Yeah.
I think he would make his father proud.
This is as good as it's going to get, and
she would make her mother proud.
Yeah. The shark. Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the film isn't about the shark. It's about something deeper, and that's what Jaws 2 didn't understand. Jaws 2 was about the shark, and it's not about the shark. It's if you can't tell, I'm doing my what's the name of that guy who rips off other people's work and never answers any questions? He's directing the new Star Wars film.
J.J. Abrams?
J.J. Abrams. If you can't tell, I'm doing my J.J. Abrams film.
Yeah, it's great. It's spectacular.
So film voice. I'm so mind flooded right now. All right, I think this is it. This is about as good as Jaws 3 is going to get. By the way, it's not going to be in 3D if anybody was wondering.
But will it be animated?
No. Why would you make it animated?
It's going to be a lot easier to show the scenes.
Well, I mean, theoretically, yes.
Because a lot of it takes place on a giant tree.
No, stop! It's not a giant tree. You're so goddamn frustrating. I know you have seen these trees before. You've been to the swamps in Florida.
I know what you're talking about. That's what they look like.
Yeah, but they're not like. It's not that. It won't be that difficult. Also, the whole thing doesn't take place on the tree, as I discussed. The boat will crash near the tree,
okay,
and then they will climb up the tree as the tension rises.
And that's most of Act 3 on the tree.
Well, yeah, I guess. That's where the climax takes place, but it also takes place in the water.
Okay. Because you have to remember, water's scary.
Well, that's what the whole point of the film is that all right, we're not going to get anything more out of this. Do you have anything you'd like to contribute?
Jaws 2 was underrated.
That's yeah. I mean, yes, technically, yeah, it was. Well, I like the direction that we're going in, and I hope that I remember the ideas that I have now when we start Jaws 4, because now that I
wrote them down, didn't you?
Well, no, I didn't write down my ideas for Jaws 4. I wrote down the ideas for this, but so what I'm imagining is Jaws 4 is about. In Jaws 4, get this: there's no shark.
Right.
In Jaws 4 is
it's
about
a crocodile.
No, the Jaws 4 is about the fear of sharks that the original Jaws movie created in America.
You're making some major spoilers.
Jaws
here.
4 is about the hysteria caused by sharks, right?
Right.
And then we have Brody Jr.'s daughter, right? And she's raising her kid, and she's completely paranoid about the water, and she's paranoid about his safety because she lives in Kansas, as far away from the water as possible, right? And he he's a 12-year-old. He's all like messed up because of the bullshit she's been saying, right? And so he sees like sharks in the water everywhere. He sees like when he goes to the county pool, right, to hang out with a girl that he has a crush on, he sees a shark in the water, right? And the whole film is about this like deeper psychological fear, right? Yeah. And about the harmful ramifications of that fear. Like we go in deep on like how sharks are endangered, and some of them have been almost driven extinct by the fear of sharks. That's what Jaws 4 is about. But hopefully you enjoyed our attempt to make a better Jaws 3. It's not a 3D, but it
is indeed animated.
We got most of the characters that were in the title, so I call that a success story. Thanks for watching, and
Get out of the water! Get out of the water! Bye-bye.